blind completely.
Wow.
So
He almost went blind.
he did, and the director, I can't pronounce it, Denis Villeneuve, I think. He directed Arrival, which was nominated.
That was great. I love that movie.
It was nominated for Best Picture, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
But he said something about it being like a Jesus-like moment of Jared Leto stumbling around, and it's interesting to say that, but I will give
Method acting to a new level.
Yeah, I will give props to Jared Leto because putting that much stock into this character, especially when he's billed on IMDb, I think he's billed like 6th or 7th, so I don't even know how much screen time he's going to have.
I'm sure he'll be like a featured role.
Right,
Yeah.
but it really goes to show how dedicated he is to the role.
I mean, he was dedicated with the Joker, and look what happened.
He's a psychopath.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. Like I said before, I don't dislike Jared Leto's Joker. He just wasn't given enough screen time.
He was on the screen for like 10 minutes, maybe.
Not even.
Yeah.
Like short.
And now he's not too happy that they're making the Joker origin movie because...
Yeah, I'm not a fan of what DC's doing with that, trying to push the same characters in different universes.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
The DC universe is going to collapse.
Yeah. I mean, I've said before, I have high hopes. I always hoping they'll do a good. Wonder Woman was great, but Marvel's always going to beat them.
It's going to hinge on Justice League. If Justice League is a good movie, then there's some life maybe to it. But if Justice League sucks, or if it's even okay.
If it's okay.
It's done.
It doesn't matter if it's okay or sucks. If it makes money, it will succeed. I think it's always going to make money.
Yeah, just to get back to Blade Runner, I did pull up the quote about what Denis Villeneuve said about Jared Leto being blind, and he goes, he was walking in with an assistant very slowly. It was like seeing Jesus walking into a temple. Wow. Everybody became super silent, and there was kind of a sacred moment. Everyone was in awe. It was so beautiful and powerful. I was moved to tears, and that was just a camera test. So you might read that quote and think, that's just the director,
Talking about his movie.
he has a thing for the dramatic, but it's interesting for sure because it just really shows the commitment of Jared Leto to this movie. Yeah. And that's what gets me excited because this may seem like, it's just a cash grab to make another Blade Runner movie, but
I don't think it will be. I think it's something else.
It does seem like they're making a good effort to bring in Denis Villeneuve, director of an Oscar-nominated movie, Ryan Gosling. I don't believe he's an Oscar winner, but he was nominated
for La La Land.
For La La Land, and he's just a great actor in general, especially since I wouldn't call it a career renaissance because he never really left. He left for a certain period of time. I think he had a child or something. But point is he was off Hollywood for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jared Leto back for another movie in Blade Runner, and we've talked a lot about him, and just he does heighten my excitement for the movie.
Yeah, I read about today that early screen tests say that Blade Runner 2049 is really good. They call it a sci-fi masterpiece.
That's
actually,
good.
That's awesome.
That's
And
good. I would love to see it top the original. I always want the sequel to be better than the original because then it just keeps on going up. If the sequel's not as good as the original, there's no point for it.
And I think there is room to improve on the original.
Exactly.
The ending to Blade Runner is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of it. The soliloquy at the end.
It's one of the greatest endings of a movie of all time. I think.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some slow points in this movie.
What the whole like when he's stalking the other replicants that can get a little bit slow.
Yeah.
What was like the slowest scene you think?
I don't know.
There were just points.
The beginning, I guess, was a little slow. Like that first scene's great.
First scene's great. Yeah, when
drags
the replicant kills the officer, I don't know the officer's name. That's a great scene. But just parts of the middle is where it was kind of slow. Mike just pointed out, and I was thinking in the back of my head, we can't forget to mention this member of the Blade Runner 2049 cast, Jake and I's favorite actor.
What?
Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Dave Bautista! That's right. Dave Bautista. WWE champion.
What can you say
Drax,
about Dave Bautista?
Drax the Destroyer.
He was in Bond,
Mr.
right?
Hinks
He was
and
in
James
Bond. He was
Bond.
Inspector.
Yeah.
And now he is in Blade Runner.
guy's eyes out.
Good for him.
I can't wait.
Go Dave.
He is going to be the muscular sidekick as he is.
That's what he's always going to be.
He loves
the rest
it.
of his life.
It actually looks kind of dramatic what he's doing.
Yeah, he's got the piece of beard, right?
Yeah.
The beard and the glasses. Yeah.
We joke about Dave Bautista a lot. Just I don't know where it started, but
I really
just
don't know where it started.
Did you guys see Guardians 2?
I have not seen Guardians 2 yet.
Really?
No. It's
They
nothing against it. It's
they
just
made his performance much more comedic in that.
Yeah, I know he does have a fairly comedic role in general.
That movie is a comedy.
Yeah. All right, so any final thoughts on Blade Runner? We can give it a score out of 10. I'll go to Mike first.
It's a classic sci-fi. I'd say that it's a must-see. It's a must-see right next to Star Wars. It's definitely... I wouldn't say it's for Star Wars fans because, like, it's such a different movie.
Sure.
It's an art film. It has...
For fans of drama.
Yeah, it's for fans of drama. It has really, like, great... Like, it's got great tone, and it's got some great metaphors in it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Awesome. Jake?
I think it's got a beautiful message, and I like movies like that. I like movies that, like, go out there to serve a purpose, not the Emoji Movie.
Just to make money. Well, the Emoji Movie had such a great message.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Do you think so?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give Blade Runner an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it dragged on a little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10. I still think it's a really good movie with a very powerful message, as Jake said. But at times, don't go into this movie like I did, expecting... When I hear sci-fi,
like
I immediately associate sci-fi with action.
Like, no spaceships shooting lasers here.
None whatsoever.
It's very dialogue.
And sometimes when you go into a movie like that and you're anticipating something, you get the other thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but your perception kind of dwindles a little bit.
Yeah.
So I would say... Because I was kind of expecting something else, that's why I would bring it down a little bit. But overall, it's a very powerful movie.
I'd say it ages with time.
Yeah. I would say...
The message is always there.
And I would say the message is even more powerful in today's world. I
think we're looking at it from, like, our context today. We're looking at the meaning of it, whereas audiences back in the 80s were like, what is this?
Where's Star Wars?
Especially in our social media age with... Like, what does it mean to live with social media sometimes becoming more real than actual real life?
The Facebook robot?
Yeah. What Mike's referencing is Facebook created an artificial intelligence, and, it developed its own language, so they shut it down.
I think that kind of ties in the movie, too, because the movie is kind of a question on, like, AI and, like, where we're going in technology, and should we do stuff like this?
Because, like, they're so close to being human.
What is the line?
When they're being shot, there's blood out of them. Everything is, like...
I remember asking at the beginning of the movie, because I haven't watched it in a long time since we just watched it. I remember he shoots the replicant at the beginning, I was like, did he shoot a woman? Because blood actually came out of her.
It's all like bioengineered.
Yeah.
Like, it's so close to human.
They might as well just be humans.
Yeah. So just for final thoughts, Mike gave it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Jake gave it an 8.5, and I gave it an 8. Overall, it's definitely a movie I would recommend seeing. It is on.
Everyone should see it.
It's on. At least. If we were to make like a top 100 films ever made, I would definitely put it on there just because it does have a very powerful message.
Top 50.
Probably top 10 soliloquies in a movie.
Yeah, and that's no joke, honestly, because it's
so powerful.
Has a very powerful message.
Like, you're seeing this character running around like a crazy person, and then he just stops for a time of peace before he dies. And, like, he doesn't die in, like, a terrible, bloody way. He just
bows his head.
Yeah.
Shuts down. I think it's such a powerful...
camera pans in on him, and the rain's coming down.
Yeah, and
it's a beautiful shot.
It's really beautiful,
For sure.
Some of, like, the cinematography is just, like, masterful.
Yeah, so if you're a big fan of cinematography, this is the movie for you.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend seeing it. So that will conclude our review of Blade Runner. Make sure to go see Blade Runner 2049. I believe it comes out a week from Friday.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I know it's
awesome.
first Friday in October. So now we're going to move on to Actor of the Week. So my Actor of the Week is Tom Cruise, and I'm going with this solely off the reviews he's getting for American Made, because he brings a charisma to this role that I've heard, and it seems with all of his movies, he brings a new, just not necessarily new, because he seems to be Tom Cruise in every movie.
Yeah, he is Tom Cruise.
And people complain about that sometimes. We're like, oh, you're just playing yourself. But there's just something about Tom Cruise, and he's one of the few. We live in an age where it's more about the movie title rather than the movie star. Like the days of, Arnold Schwarzenegger's in the movie, I got to see it. Sylvester Stallone, I got to see it.
Because so many of those movies have bombed. That's why.
Yeah. And so in that age, we kind of live, and it's just kind of Tom Cruise and The Rock, honestly. When their names are attached to movies, there's a big buzz around them no matter what. And what I've heard about American Made...
I'm surprised it got that good. Like,
honestly, it's kind of flown under the radar. Flown, little pun there, because he flies airplanes. Yeah. But yeah, it just seems very interesting, and I definitely want to see it, and that's why I'm giving Tom Cruise Actor of the Week. Mike, Actor of the Week?
I'm going to bring it back to Blade Runner. As I said before, Harrison Ford's dramatic performance actually blew me away. I was not expecting it from him. I think that's a little unfair of me to say because he's such a great actor. He's been around forever, and I'm going to give him the actor of the week for me.
Sure. Jake, what's your actor of the week?
You know, if Mike wasn't in the room right now, I would say Harrison Ford too, but because I have to give my own actor of the week, I'm going to pick somebody who's been really important in my life as a child growing up in my favorite movie. Macaulay Culkin. Congratulations on being alive still. I was a big fan of Home Alone.
Home Alone 2? Are you a fan of that?
No.
I loved Home Alone 2 too.
Actually, I do like Home Alone 2.
Throw the bricks out there.
Yeah, but anyways, good on you, Macaulay Culkin, because he's still alive.
He's doing good now. Like, he's not a drug addict anymore.
That's good for you.
He still looks like one though. All right, and just before we go, we are going to wrap it up with our what to see this weekend. This weekend is when American Made comes out. I believe I'll call it up real quick just to make sure I'm not wrong. But definitely, if you have not seen it yet, go out and see that. Yes. Great horror movie.
Yeah. We love that movie here.
Yeah, we've talked about it quite a lot. Yeah,
I wrote so many pages on that.
It's a great movie. I would definitely see that this weekend if you have not. And I don't care what the reviews say about Kingsman. I'd say go out and see Kingsman.
Go see Kingsman. Everyone's saying that the reviews are being too harsh. It's,
right.
Some movies don't need to be perfect on Rotten Tomatoes, and a good action movie is always a good
action because
movie.
It's
fun.
It's James Bond, but with the fun. And even if...
You can't say all James Bond movies have been perfect,
True.
You know?
And
they haven't been.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, and see, also, people were expecting the original Kingsman. They weren't expecting much. It came out in February. That's where movies kind of go to die.
People also need to realize that Kingsman, its Secret Service, didn't get great reviews either. It just made it fresh.
Right,
and
but
it's
also,
still a great movie.
People weren't expecting much from that, and that, I think, kind of heightened...
Yeah,
what it got overall. This one people are expecting more because the original has a good basis. But I'm very interested to see with
I want to see it.
The Statesman, that whole aspect. I think that's very interesting. And so I'd say go out and see Kingsman. I did confirm American Made does come out this weekend. So if you're looking for a movie that might get some Oscar buzz or just like a good high-energy Tom Cruise film, where he's playing
a CIA
pilot.
Of course, if you really want an Oscar movie, you should see the Lego Ninjago movie.
This is the first Lego movie to get bad reviews.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
it did not get the hottest reviews.
It's the second one, right? No, third.
It was Lego Batman, Lego Ninjago.
Right. Lego Ninjago. Sure.
If you haven't seen Spider-Man: Homecoming yet, you should see that.
Yeah.
It's still in theaters.
It's in select theaters. Not wide release anymore, but. Yeah, we are kind of getting into October, and that's when more of the action, bad horror movies. Yeah, but October, November, we'll get
especially November.
The Death Day, that looks so.
November's going to be a good month for movies.
November's a huge month
because we're going to have
Justice League,
Thor Ragnarok, Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh yeah,
lots of great movies coming out in November, and then we can't forget about December. There's only one movie coming out in December.
One movie matters.
There are no movies coming out in December except for one.
And Star Wars.
We are referencing Star Wars.
And Star Wars.
Okay.
So that's going to conclude today's show. Thank you for listening, and
thanks everybody.
Yeah, and so just to wrap it up, we do have a Twitter. We've had a Twitter for a little bit, and I've just never mentioned the Twitter handle. It is @RealTalkPod on Twitter. I would really like to do a question and answer segment. So if anyone wants to DM or tweet us questions, that would be amazing because we would love to do a section where we answer your questions. You can follow Mike
at Mike Gillis 25 on Twitter.
Yep.
And everything else pretty much.
You can follow me at Liam Crowley 714 on Twitter, and Jake unfortunately does not have a Twitter. So
sorry everybody.
I guess you can just.
Who wouldn't want to follow
what's your MySpace?
I'll see you guys around. All right.
Yeah. But overall, thank you for joining us on today's show. We're glad to talk a classic movie and Blade Runner. We're glad to get into some of these movie news topics, and just join us next week, next Thursday. I don't know if we have a movie planned,
but
we'll
what is it? October next week?
October is next week, so we might
do we want to do horror movies?
We could do a horror movie, or we could do. I've been wanting to review Ex Machina for a while now. We might go into that one. But either way, I would say definitely join us next week.
Or Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Come see Spamalot.
All right, that will conclude today's show. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
A club isn't the best place to find find the lovers, so the bar is where I go. Me and my friends at the table doing shots, tripping fast, and then